This is the new iPad Air 4, the next evolution of Apple's non-pro tablet lineup. And don't ask me why I got it in pink, it's a long story for a separate video. The design, I would say, heavily mimics modern-day iPad Pros with a 10.9-inch Liquid Retina edge-to-edge display. We also have Touch ID embedded within the power button, and the powerhouse that is running this machine is the A14 Bionic processor. All of these specs sound great, but the question is, after spending 45 days with the iPad Air 4, is it worth the price of admission? Well, let's find out. This review is going to be a little bit different. You guys probably already know the ins and outs of this iPad by now, since it's been out for such a long time. So I want to share with you guys how my experience has been with this iPad from a workflow kind of perspective, to really get an in-depth feel and understanding for this tablet. So this tablet served as my media consumption machine, my device for taking Zoom calls, editing thumbnails on Lightroom for YouTube, and sometimes even as my primary camera when my iPhone wasn't next to me. The only task I used my MacBook Pro for was for editing videos, since, you know, we don't have Final Cut Pro on the iPad yet, even though it's more than capable of handling such an intensive application. But that discussion is for a completely different video. To maximize efficiency on a tablet, you do need to get a keyboard, and I recommend the Magic Keyboard, which is in fact compatible with the Air 4, so that did come as a pleasant surprise. I understand that this keyboard is expensive and it is not for everyone, so I have linked some affordable keyboards in the description below for you guys, so if you are interested in that, go check that out. Quickly before we do continue, if you are enjoying the content and you want to see more iPad coverage on the channel, leave a like on this video and consider subscribing to the channel because that would be highly appreciated. So whether I'm typing up scripts for YouTube videos or typing up a late night lab report, it's the Magic Keyboard that really comes in clutch. It's a nice attachable keyboard with some good key travel and a great trackpad. The best part is I love the size and portability of this combo. I do have the 12.9-inch iPad Pro, and let me tell you, this tablet with the Magic Keyboard is really heavy and far too big. Call me old-fashioned, but to me a tablet needs to be a portable workhorse that you can take around with you anywhere and still be productive. And that is where the iPad Air 4 really shines. The combination of the tablet with the Magic Keyboard weighs just 2.4 pounds, so it is extremely portable and lightweight. Like, this is super lightweight. I can be highly productive with this tablet in places that you would never expect. I slide my iPad Air 4 into this messenger bag and I am out the door. It is just that simple. If weather permits, sometimes I get work done on a bench at a park, sometimes in my car, and oftentimes I'm just kicking it back on my bed doing what I gotta do. I've never been the typical work at your desk kind of person. I don't believe in dedicated workspaces. That's why I'm not too big on desk setups, even though I'm slowly building mine up for the channel. But no matter where you work from, you do need to protect your iPad with a formidable screen protector, and the one that I'm using is by a very popular company that you may have heard of called Paperlike. Paperlike is a screen protector for your iPad that serves multiple purposes. Not only does it reduce glare and fingerprints on your screen, it also makes it so that you actually feel like you're writing on paper. I've been using Paperlike long before the sponsorship, and it's one of the first accessories I get for any iPad I pick up. If you guys want to see a more in-depth review on Paperlike and my experience using it, I will leave a link to that video down below. I truly do feel like anywhere between 10 to 11 inches is the ideal size for an iPad. The screen is not too small where I need to squint to see the display. I can still multitask with enough workspace to open up multiple windows, so I can still be highly productive. And whenever I just want to kick it and relax, I can detach my iPad from the Magic Keyboard and watch YouTube or Netflix from the comfort of my couch or my bed without feeling like I'm holding this massive display. Very often, I like to sit on my bed and just edit a bunch of YouTube thumbnails over on Lightroom. And I'm able to do so comfortably by just holding the iPad Air 4 in one hand while I make the necessary edits to bring these images to life. So for me, the 10.9-inch iPad Air 4 is the perfect balance between a tablet that's meant for productivity and a tablet that's meant for leisure use. A big component of my workflow is just jotting down all these random ideas that just pop into my head. Sometimes I just put on my Sony XM4s, I whip out my Apple Pencil, and I just like to write down anything and everything that comes into my head on the Air 4. Sometimes you have so many ideas and important things that you want to get done that writing them down can really help you stay organized. I use an app called Nebo, and it is terrific for free form writing. You have multiple different pencils and colors, and it is an ever-flowing continuous page that really lets you be creative and helps boost your productivity. Biometrics was a big surprise with this iPad. No one really expected Apple to go the Touch ID route, but I'm ecstatic that they did. I have never been a big fan of Face ID, even back when it was first introduced on the iPhone X. I just found it so inconvenient in certain situations, and my preference before we all started wearing masks was always Touch ID. On the iPad Air 4, Touch ID is so convenient. I've registered 3 of my fingerprints, and unlocking this thing from any angle is super easy. Touch ID is what I want to see on all iOS devices moving forward from Apple. The star of the show though has to be the A14 Bionic. I do play quite a few games on my iPad. I don't think I'm a console person anymore. I guess that is what naturally happens as you get older. You become an iPad Air gamer. I can play Call of Duty Mobile on this thing all day long, and the performance is no issue at all. If you do game for long hours though, like more than 5 hours, I do notice the iPad getting a little hot, but nothing to be concerned about. Coming from the 120Hz refresh rate display on the iPad Pro, I thought I would really notice that refresh rate drop off on the 60Hz panel of the iPad Air. But surprisingly, it hasn't been that noticeable. Now, I think this is because, unlike a phone, we aren't constantly interacting with an iPad, meaning that we aren't constantly switching between apps, scrolling back and forth, so a 60Hz panel on an iPad is just fine. I can do without ProMotion on an iPad, but on an iPhone, not having ProMotion is just inexcusable. You do sometimes wish you had that high refresh rate while gaming, but for the most part, you aren't going to miss a lack of 120Hz. A big integration on the iPad Air 4 was switching over from Lightning to USB-C. It is limited to 5GB per second compared to the iPad Pro's 10GB per second, but it does support the same peripherals and can output to an external display up to 4K. USB-C just makes everything so much more convenient. You can connect to a wider variety of external desktop accessories. You can even use a large USB-C hub to connect many devices and a monitor all at once through a single connection. Now that is convenience. So the convenience of USB-C cannot be understated. If I had to choose between the iPad Air 4 and the iPad Pro, I would go with the iPad Air 4 and save those extra dollars to invest in peripherals such as the Magic Keyboard and an Apple Pencil. At the end of the day, you just miss out on 120Hz ProMotion, an extra camera lens, and bezels that are slightly thinner. So overall, the iPad Air 4 is a terrific option for anyone who's looking to get their first iPad, or for a user that wants to upgrade for a multitude of reasons. This iPad is currently the best value iPad that Apple has to offer. You may have a legit argument with the new iPad 8 as having better value, but I just prefer this modern design over the iPad 8's outdated design. Let me know down in the comments below if you guys enjoyed this type of review. It was more so my experience with the iPad Air 4 rather than a review. I already covered multiple videos on this device comparing it to the new iPad 8 and even the iPad Pro in separate videos. So I'll also link those for you guys in the description. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel if you did like this video. And as always, don't forget to flex with your tech.